everyone, it's Julia. Last week I did a project making some quilted rag coasters, and I used denim for the back. I just used the pants leg of this pair of jeans. And so I had this sitting on my table, and I thought I'm going to create a bag out of this. A little bit about this pair of jeans. This is a child size 16, so it's a smaller pair of jeans. And I wanted to make just one bag out of this. So I did, the bigger jeans just get really big, and usually the bigger jeans I'll cut into two separate bags. And I do have a video on that, and I will link that down below. But this one I want to leave as one bag, and I want to create a box top zip on this, which I've never done before. So I'm going to be just learning as I go. I wanted to point out a book though. I actually got this from my sister-in-law for my birthday last year. This is such a wonderful book, and I'm going to link it down below for you. But you can it's called The Bag Boutique. It has 20 different bags in here, and it has the original or some of the pattern pieces that you need in the back. Lots of wonderful techniques, and this one does show how to do this box top zip. I'm going to have to do things differently because this is already somewhat constructed, but I'm going to, like I said, I'm just going to go through this and take you along, and we'll see what we can do. I do want to create just some interest on this, just to decorate. You know me, gotta embellish. So I'm going to be doing some free motion stitching on this. I did pick up this pack of fat quarters at Hobby Lobby just this last week, and it's just let me see if I can get the glare off of here. It's just a fun pack of just almost vintage looking type prints. It has a really interesting elephant, and I thought maybe I would put some heat and bond on the back of it, or whatever adhesive that you like, and then maybe cut one or two of these out and try to embellish with it. I also just recently picked up this is a Laura Heine print. If you're not familiar with Laura Heine, she does a lot of fabric applique collages, beautiful work, a lot of different quilt kits and patterns and books, and if I find this, I'll link that down below as well for you. But this is I'm going to just put some heat and bond light on the back of this and cut some of these out and use them for an applique, and I might include that as well on this. Like, I don't really know what I'm doing yet, but we'll see what happens. Have this piece of vintage, this was like a whole table runner, and I just have a few of these little things left. And also a yo-yo that I thought kind of went well with some of this. Another thing, someone gifted this to me, and I believe it's off of an old pillowcase. It's just a crocheted edging. I thought that would be really fun just to put alongside maybe the pocket edge or something. The zipper that I'm going to use is a metal zipper, and it is longer than the top of my jeans. I'm going to have this extend off, and I am going to be putting like a tab on the end of this. We'll see how it all goes. I think that's all I wanted to show you. So let's get started. First, I am opening up what's left of the inseam on this pair of jeans, pulling out those pockets. I don't want to cut through those pockets. I'm just going to be making this nice and straight across the bottom here. I want to keep the length as long as I can, so just taking my ruler and just measuring just to make sure that that's a nice straight across the bottom. Now I want to add some background prints to the front of this. Just going to take these belt loops off of here completely. I do add these back in later, but they're going to get in the way, so I am going to take those off. And now I just have a piece of wax paper. I can see through this wax paper, and I'm drawing my pattern pieces out. I'm going to be putting this background fabric on the front of this purse and also on the back yoke. So So I can just see through this, and I'm just drawing that pattern piece. Now I'm adding a 1/2 inch or 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 inch cutting line. And you can see that dotted line is where I'm going to be cutting these out. And then going and doing the same thing to the back yoke piece and also the other side of this front. So I have my 4 pieces now, and I'm going to be tracing them onto Heat and Bond Light. This is just an iron-on adhesive. Make sure to flip over your pattern pieces because this adhesive gets ironed onto the back side of your fabric. I do have the back side there, and I'm ironing this first piece on. I'm also taking a little bit of this Heat and Bond Light and just going to lay it over one of these little elephants. I'm going to just cut that little elephant out as an embellishment. Now cutting right on my little line there. I get a lot of questions about what scissors I use when I cut through this paper adhesive, and I don't use my real sharp scissors. I kind of rotate my scissors. So this one has a piece of tape on it, so I know that it's not my sharp scissors, if that makes sense. Because this Heat and Bond Light is going to dull your scissor. I've got my pieces now, and I'm just going to take that paper away. And now I'm going to be folding under that little extra cutting line that I used, and I'm going to be, so the edges are going to be finished off on these background pieces. Just doing some clipping on this curve here so I can fold it under a little bit better. And once I have it pretty much folded the way I want it, I'm just going to take my iron and press that down. And I went ahead and I got all of my pieces ironed on, and now it's over to my sewing machine, and I'm going to be edge stitching these into place. Just trying to sew as close to the edge as I can, maneuvering it. You see that back label there? I did lift that, and I'm going to be stitching that back into place as soon as I get this piece sewn on. And now once everything is sewn on, the edges are all finished, I'm just taking my free motion foot here and I'm just doing a meander stitch just to add some more stitching and just some interest on this piece. And just meander stitching. And I did that to all the background pieces, and this is what it looks like. Now it's on to embellishing my background pieces. And this is just the fun part. I'm just going to be adding some of those little pieces that I've cut out, those little flower appliques. I like adding some denim back in, so some of the denim that I had left over that I cut off previously, I'm adding back into some of this design. Put that little elephant up there. I like this little piece of denim with that seam, so I'm going to add that and just have these flowers kind of sticking out of that. Adding another one of those little doily or whatever motifs. And pressing all that back down. Some of these pieces do not have any heat and bond on the back of them, and so I'm going to be taking my fabric tack glue and just going to be putting a little bit of glue on the back of these. Now this fabric tack glue, I have a love-hate relationship with it. It's such messy glue, but it really is a tacky and it dries quickly. And I will be stitching these down as well as the glue, but I don't have any problems with gumming. I get that question some too. You do want to make sure that that glue is completely dry before you take it to your sewing machine. Now I want to add some of this wonderful trim to the backs of the pockets here. And I'm going to be sticking a little bit of glue on those as well, just to keep them into place while I sew them down. And wanted to add the same trim to my front pockets. I just think that's kind of cute with it just sticking out. I do have two different colors of multicolored threads here. I'm going to use the teal one just to do some free motion stitching on this, just to get everything tacked down. I'm actually using free motion zigzag here. I'll show you a picture at the end, and when I get done here, you'll see it a little bit better. I'm just catching those edges in and just kind of making a messy, scribbly look of my stitching. Doing the same on this little elephant. And again, this is just a free motion zigzag that I'm doing. So I'm doing all the moving on this. You're going to see it a little bit better on this one where I do some doodling with it. You can see I'm just adding some different marks right on that denim. And this one too, going back and forth and just adding some doodling, just some interesting stitching. And now I have my regular foot on, and I want to do some decorative stitching with this pink variegated thread that I have. This is one of my favorite stitches. It's like a cross stitch. It looks almost like I did it by hand, but I didn't. And I'm going to add that same stitch on this other side, just getting underneath my foot there. And just going to stitch straight down on this side as well with that same cross stitch. And here you can see my stitching, that cross stitch, and then some of my scribbly free motion zigzags. You can kind of see it there. Love the back of this as well. Now to measure for the zipper insert that I'm going to be doing, I'm measuring the top of this, getting it all even, and it was 14 inches. So I'm cutting 4 pieces, 3 inches by 14 inches. And 2 of those I added like a iron-on stabilizer or interfacing. I'm just going to tack these down just this end of the zipper so it doesn't have that raw edge to it. Just turning that under, and then turning under all my short sides here of this insert, this zipper box insert, and just going to stitch across the edge of each of these. Just turning these under, pressing, and then I will be stitching these. And I'm doing that to all 4 of them. And now I'm going to make my zipper sandwich, just putting that zipper face down. My right sides are going to be together now. With my sandwich, and that zipper is going to be in between my 2 layers of fabric. Just getting everything lined up on the edge there, and just including these right in with my Wonder clips. And we'll be stitching this, and I'm going to show that at the sewing machine. I do have my zipper foot on. That zipper foot I'm going to be stitching though right in the center of my foot. My zipper foot, you can either have it on the left side, the right side, or the center. And I have it on the center, so it's going to be about 1/4 of an inch away from the edge. I hope that makes sense. So basically I'm stitching right down the center of this zipper, the zipper. The zipper tape, I should say. So you can see it there. Just going to be ironing that now, pressing that nice, and I will be top stitching. And then to add the other one, again, just making that that sandwich with that zipper in between and getting all my edges lined up. And here's what it looks like. It's all top stitched, nice, lays nice and flat. The lining, I just took another piece of this fabric off this fat quarters that I had. On the lining, when I do this, I always want the lining to be a little bit bigger on the sides, especially on the top, than too small. You just don't want it too small because you can always ease it in, but you can't stretch it. So I always have it just a tad bigger than I need. I'm going to be turning this piece now so the right sides are together. It's already still folded at the bottom there, so I'm just going to leave that. I'm going to turn this so that the right sides are together, and I will be stitching the sides. Stitching the sides, and then I'm going to box the corners, and you'll see it there. I just took that little about a 1-inch seam across the bottom of that just to give that a 1-inch box. Just clipping that extra away. And I'm going to do the same with my little jeans too. Put the right sides together, and I'm going to stitch right across the bottom of this. And then I also boxed the corners on those and just snipping that. Just love how this looks. And now you notice how the front of your jeans, it has a dip down on the top there. And that was the one thing I was having a little bit of problem with on how to do this zipper, but I think I figured it out. It's on to making my straps now. This is gonna be a shoulder strap. So my shoulder, or they measure about, I think they measured about 30 inches or so. I just combined my straps there, my different colors. If I had any denim left over, like if I had the legs left on this, I probably would have done denim shoulder straps. But this fabric works as well too. It's very colorful. Just adding a tab to the bottom of this zipper, and I just decided to use another one of these little motifs from this piece that I had. Just going to be stitching on the sides of these. I didn't want to stitch through the zipper because it's a metal zipper, but that worked really well. Just stuck those straps in there now where I wanted them and just pinned them in. So the straps are done and they're pinned into place. And now it's to add this zipper, and you can kind of see what I mean. I want to keep that dip in the front. And so I'm just kind of lining it up to where it needs to be. And I'm just going to pin that into place. So you can still see that front curve. And then the back side of it is going to be quite straight, and you'll see it when I flip it around here. I'm just going to tuck that in, and the back, like I said, is still quite straight. And again, just going to pin that into place. I really didn't know any other way to do this and keep that, the jean looking like a jean at the top. So now it's back to my sewing machine, and I'm using a gold color thread because the stitching on those jeans are gold, and I am just stitching right on that same waistband stitching that is already there, going through my little strap at this point, and then keeping with that, removing my pins and keeping that curve in there. This was a little bit of fiddling getting around that snap, but it wasn't too bad. Just went really slow, and again, just keep removing my pins and just keeping this going here. And here it is. I really like the way this looks at the top. Now it's to get that lining in. And again, I didn't know any other way of doing this other than to just hand stitch this lining in. I'm just turning that under about an inch or so, pressing that. I did find when I put this zipper, when I put the lining inside, I did, because that front dipped, I did have to press under a little bit more in the front just to get it nice and even in the inside of this purse. But it really went together quickly, and it made for a really neat top on the inside of my lining. Just the hand stitching worked really well. I could have put a pocket in the zipper. I should have thought about that. There's of course the outside pockets on this bag, but I did not put a pocket in the zipper. But you could certainly easily add a patch pocket or a zippered pocket in the zipper in the lining as well. Just doing my pinning now and getting everything lined up. Started at the side seams to make sure that that was all where they needed to be. And if I had a little bit of extra, because like I said, I do sometimes, I like to cut my lining a little bit bigger. I just took a little tuck if I needed to. Very much easier to take a tuck in the lining than to have the lining being too small, because you're not going to be able to tuck this denim at all. And that's it. Everything is nice and neat, and I'll show you what the inside looks like here after I hand stitched it. Just did a slip stitch. I hope you enjoyed this, everyone. I think this is a great technique, even in a tote bag or any kind of bag that you have that you want to have a zipper on the top. It's really quick and easy. Thank you everyone who's joined me. I hope you have a chance to create this week. Bye for now.